Hello and welcome to Brainworks Education. So today, as promised, we're going to start our civic education revision series so that you can watch all the 12 topics that we've done and then start revising this lecture series before your final examination. And I really hope this helps you prepare for your civic education final exam. All right, let me just increase the view here, because these are MCQs. So we're going to do all MCQs or 20 MCQs. Then in the next class, we're going to try to do section B and hopefully the essay questions. All right. Make sure you follow instructions. So you have to put the cross on the letter that you have chosen. You don't know who is going to mark you and the mood that they are going to be in. So if you circle and you don't follow instructions, they might disqualify your paper and you might be saying, but I really did well in that paper. Why did I fail? It means you didn't follow the instructions. So be very particular. So the first question here says, a constitution that can be altered by a two-third majority system. All right, sorry for that. I lost internet just for a bit. All right, so like I was saying, make sure you follow instructions. So the constitution that can be altered by two-third, this is the keyword, a two-third majority is said to be, so it's not really rigid because members of parliament can simply meet up and make a decision based on this two-third majority system. It doesn't require the whole country to organize itself in a form of referendum. So if there was a referendum, that would have been a, but here the answer is a flexible constitution. And obviously C and B can definitely not be the answers because they are not talking about, the question is not asking whether it's written or it's in form of oral, then an oral message that's been passed down like the British monarch. But here we're talking about two-third majority system. It means it's a very flexible constitution. Which characteristic, question 2, of elections in good governance, so good governance, here we're talking about characteristics of good governance, watch that video on governance, allows stakeholders to criticize the government. So to criticize, so stakeholders, other political parties are also stakeholders. So to criticize the government in a constructive way and offer alternative suggestions to improve governance. So this here, this question is talking about political tolerance. And when we talk about political tolerance, we are interested other political parties in the midst. Therefore, it's not competitive, it's not decisive, it's not periodic elections. We're talking about inclusiveness. So something that's inclusive, it means you are introducing other political parties that are going to criticize you in a constructive way, a respective way. That's called political tolerance. So it's inclusiveness in nature. So this is Njapa, a naturalized citizen. It means naturalized, it means you were not legally born in the alien state, but you are sort of adopted. So watch the video on citizenship so that you know those rules, whether it's just solely or just sanguinis. So Jepa is a naturalized citizen, lost his citizenship after being expelled from the country of residence by the state. What kind of expulsion is, so it's not voluntary, so definitely C and D are definitely wrong. The answer here is definitely forced expulsion, being forced out of the country against their will. Why is it not forced repatriation? It means So this person being expelled from the country of residence by the state. So it's forced expulsion, not forced repatriation. So forced repatriation may be a condition where someone is maybe a refugee or a prisoner of war, and they are sent back to their country of origin, where there are no other circumstances. So here it's not voluntary, so it's forced. The best answers were either A or B. The fitting answer here is forced expulsion. So here it's not forced expatriation because they would have given some form of reason that, okay, this person was maybe a refugee or maybe a prisoner of war. Let's go to question 4. This civic education can be a little bit tricky. The following is true about civil and political rights, except, so we did this topic on civil and political rights, and we did say that they are enforceable in the courts of law. They compel the government not to interfere with the rule of law, and they do not cost much, therefore they are enforceable. The exemption is that civil and political rights don't normally allow individuals to seek legal I don't like this word, redress, where you're sort of trying to seek legal compensation somewhat. So this of the answer A. Again, do your research. Don't allow the answers that I'm saying to be your true gospel truth. At least you will possibly get around between 85 to 95% of these answers correct, but there may be some differing opinions and I may get certain things wrong. So that's why you come in as a researcher. Go consult your study groups, do an in-depth study and research on the topic. So the vision of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, at least here the answer is in the word itself. So their vision is to have a nation and its people that has zero tolerance to corruption. So this one was very easy and to the point. So the type of learning in which a child learns by imitating the behavior. So this is a child imitating behavior. So it's not in a formal institution. It's not like in a formal institution like a classroom where a child is sitting and there is that one-on-one learning, but it's mostly informal. So this falls under, what do you call this? Early childhood education. So the type of learning in which a child learns by imitating the behavior of its parents, members and family, or television. All right, so I keep on losing internet there for some reason. So here the answer is informal education. So this should be the answer. Why is it non-formal? Because non-formal still takes place within a formal organization, but informal takes place outside the classroom. So that would be the distinction. If we proceed, how can someone keep away from illicit drugs like cocaine or marijuana? So the only way to keep away from illicit drugs, or one of the best ways, is associating with non-users. So you associate with people who are actually not taking the drug itself. So we proceed to question 8. We have got Mrs. Kalonga. She's a social worker from the Human Rights Commission. She visited Madada community and explained to the people that human rights are absolute and undeniable. So what feature of human rights explains the above statement? So here they are inalienable, means they cannot be taken away from you. They are absolute and undeniable. She's not talking about them being indivisible, inherent, or universal. Inherent meaning the fact that you are born, you have those human rights. So she would have constructed a different sentence for B, C, as well as D. But here she's telling the community that they cannot be taken away from you. They are absolute and they are undeniable. So this is the feature called alienable. Make sure you watch the lecture video on human rights. So which of the following activities does not fall under civil societies? Attending seminars, reading posters, signing a petition, taking legal demonstrations. I don't quite understand this statement because civil societies do they do demonstrations. That's activism. Activism, you are taking legal demonstrations that are peaceful, like marching. They do sign petitions. They attend seminars, reading posters. I'm not so sure the answer, but we'll put a star on it. And we might say maybe the possible answer is B because I'm not necessarily sure about this question. So Joseph borrowed 1,200 from Natesafe Bank to buy a popcorn machine for his new business. He signed an agreement with the bank at an interest rate of 10% for a period of 1 year. So what was the interest? So this is simple interest. So simple interest is principal times time times rate divided by 100. The principal is 1,200 multiplied by the time, which is 1 year, multiplied by the rate, which is 10%. So this will be 120. So that's the interest that he has to pay back after a period of 1 year. So to find how much Joseph has to pay back, it would be 1,200. Add that with 120. So he's going to pay back 1,320 after a period of a year. So question 12. The Citizens Advice Bureau is a branch of the Law Association of Zambia that offers litigation pro bono means free, so on pro bono basis. Which of the following statements best explains pro bono? So everywhere, every option that has free, whether this one or this one. Free legal advice centers where people get from lawyers. This is very much true. Free legal services that every lawyer offers the community. So why is this one wrong? Because it has got this every lawyer. Not every lawyer does pro bono services. So a lawyer might take up a free case to just build up, or a legal firm can take up pro bono cases to just boost up their CV, to help people so that people know about that legal firm. That can attract more customers and it can be a form of advertisement for that legal firm. Question 13. Miss Mwashinshi, a civic education teacher, asked his learners about the best way of combating gender-based violence. Which one is not the best way? So assisting couples to discuss and resolve their problems. At least there is a possible solution there. Divorcing a spouse who is troublesome. If it fails, it fails. It's best to divorce other than killing each other. Reporting cases gender-based violence to the police. Of course, there should be legal implications to every gender-based violence case. Speaking out about the problem might not be the best way, because if you speak out, then what? So at least these offer possible solutions to the problem, but speaking out without action might not be the best way to combat gender-based violence issues. So we move on. In a situation where in a situation where there is violence among political parties concerned during campaigns or an election, there is likely to be hatred and conflict among members of parties. What is the best method of resolving such conflict? So where there are political parties, maybe more than 3 or 4 political parties, there will be hatred during campaigns. So do you litigate the problem, or do you, so these are the 2 possible answers here. So litigation it's a legal process. So legal process in that you need the courts involved. But arbitration, you are trying to resolve the conflict by introducing a neutral third party. And I think that might be the best way, because you need a neutral third party that can take on all views of various political parties and sort of find a solution to resolve that conflict. So arbitration might be the best possible answer to question 14. How can you resolve cases of child labor in your community as a social worker? By advising children not to be employed, beating all the people abusing children, charging all the children accepting child labor, educating the abusers on the effects of child labor. So you target the source. Advising children not to be employed, you're advising them not to be employed even throughout their adult life, making them hate entrepreneurship skills. So this might lead to a cascading negative effect toward their adulthood lives. But when you find the root of the problem, their parents, you educate the abusers on the effects of child labor. If they continue abusing that child, that's where you seek out legal advice, social welfare advice, and maybe the courts will say, all right, this parent is not fit to actually raise this child, and they can send that child to a foster care home. Question 16. Which provision of the United Nations Convention on Human Rights of the Child requires the government to assist the child to get back the identity that has been unlawfully taken away? So this is nothing to do with health, family, environment, or leisure. These are civil rights and political freedoms. Because if you have your identity, you enjoy your civil rights as well as freedoms within that state. Massa also, a dependent to the late Longa, was given an unreasonably small share of the estate. What steps should be taken to address this problem? He should give away the portion, no. Give the remaining, no. No. So he has to take the case to the court of law. What is the condition of life which is limited by? So these are the characteristics: malnutrition, check; illiteracy, check; disease, check; high infant mortality, check; low life expectancy, check. This is absolute poverty. It's not relative poverty, it's not poverty datum, it's absolute poverty, where all the characteristics are there: malnutrition, illiteracy. So that's the final answer. So we move on. The Zambian Environmental Management Agency. The Zambian Environmental Management Agency has been discouraging mourners from wrapping plastic bags on flowers put on graves because plastic bags are non-biodegradable. Question 20, why is the world today referred to as a global village? So it's because all nations and people are freely able to interact and depend on each other. We are in the digital age. We are interconnected through the World Wide Web. So all the nations are able to interact. No wonder it's nowadays called the global village, where commerce and economics can actually take place. So revise this paper, research, argue with my answers, go back to your notes, refer to your teachers, your lecturers, your study groups, the internet, do an in-depth research. All these keywords, use them, find the topic, read briefly about it. And that's the only way that you're going to pass. Good luck in the exams. This has been Brainworks Education. Thank you very much for watching.